500,000 years ago, the Galactic Council committed the ultimate sin. They destroyed Earth and nearly wiped humanity from existence. But now, 500,000 years later, a hidden crew of human super soldiers is ready for blood and vengeance against the evil Evora aliens who led the Council's attack. Captain Johnny Evans awoke with a start, his cryopod hissing open in the dimly lit hold of the secret human vessel. His hardened eyes adjusted quickly, taking in rows of identical pods holding the frozen bodies of his hand-picked squad of elite human warriors. "How long, Athena?" he asked, his voice raspy from centuries of disuse. "500,000 years, Captain," replied the feminine voice of the ship's AI. "We're approaching Evora-controlled space now. They've grown complacent after dominating the galaxy for so long. Their defenses are down." Johnny cracked his knuckles, a mirthless grin spreading across his chiseled face. "Perfect. Time to give those Evora bastards a long-overdue taste of human vengeance." He began thawing out his team one by one. Mac, his loyal second-in-command and demolitions expert. Ryo, the deadly precise ninja-like assassin. And Tara, the brilliant hacker and sabotage specialist. As his soldiers stretched their stiff limbs and checked their nanotech-boosted armor and weapons, Johnny's mind flashed back through the eons to that fateful day when the Evora-led Galactic Council rained destruction on Earth, all but annihilating the human race. Johnny had been there, fighting to the last man even as cities crumbled and burned. With seconds to spare, he and a few thousand survivors had piled into sleeper ships, blasting into space and hiding in the void between galaxies as their homeworld was reduced to ashes behind them. For 500,000 years they had slept, their cryopods and ship powered by an experimental zero-point energy reactor. Athena watched over them, monitoring the galaxy, patiently awaiting the day the Evora would let their guard down. That day had finally come. And now, against all odds, this small band of enhanced human warriors was all that remained to exact justice for Earth and the billions of innocents the Evora had slaughtered. There would be no negotiations, no attempts at diplomacy or reasoning with the corrupt Galactic Council that the Evora had twisted into a tool of galactic oppression and tyranny. The time for talk had ended 500,000 years ago. This was about revenge, plain and simple. Johnny gripped the stock of his pulse rifle tight, his augmented muscles coiling with barely restrained power. "Plot a course for that Evora moon base, Athena. If we can steal the antimatter power core they're developing there, we can convert it into a big enough bomb to put a serious dent in their military machine before we hit Kolgar Station and cut the head off the snake." "Affirmative, Captain," Athena responded crisply as the ship banked on its new heading. "The Evora know we're out here somewhere, though. I don't know how much longer we'll have the element of surprise." Johnny felt centuries of compressed rage simmering in his core, an icy hatred for what the Evora did to Earth, a fury that burned as hot and bright now as it had all those eons ago when he watched his homeworld burn. "As long as we get our hands on that antimatter core, it doesn't matter. Our mission is simple. Make the Evora pay for what they did to Earth, or die trying. There's no going back. It's them or us now. Time to show them what happens when you piss off the human race." He turned to address his team, his words clipped and precise, brimming with authority. "Listen up. What we do in the next 24 hours will decide the fate of the human race. This is our chance to hit back at the Evora for wiping out our planet. It won't be easy. Hell, we'll be lucky if any of us are still breathing by the end of it. But by God, before we're through, we will make them regret the day they fucked with Earth. Lock and load, people. It's time for some good old-fashioned human revenge." As one, the room of battle-hardened human warriors slammed energy clips into their weapons with a resounding clack. Grins spread across their faces, eyes gleaming with the promise of long-awaited vengeance. Johnny felt a swell of pride. His team was ready. It was time to remind the galaxy of what happens when you try to destroy humanity. They weren't just going to gut the Evora. They were going to make them choke on their own blood and beg for the mercy they had denied Earth 500,000 years ago. One way or another, there would a reckoning today. Humanity was back, and hell was coming with them. The Evora were about to learn the hard way that even 500,000 years wasn't long enough to escape the lethal reach of human retribution. It was time to bring the pain. The stealth shuttle sliced through the void, its matte black hull rendering it all but invisible against the starry backdrop. Inside, Johnny and his team prepped for their most audacious strike yet. Ryo meticulously checked the containment unit housing the stolen antimatter core, ensuring its shielding was stable. Mac filled a duffel bag with breaching charges and placed a brick of high-yield plasma explosives lovingly atop the pile. Tara interfaced with Athena, her eyes flicking rapidly behind closed lids as she processed the AI's intrusion schematics. Johnny cinched his nanoweave armor tight and slotted an extended magazine into his Gauss rifle. "Status report. Run it by me one more time, Athena." The AI's mellifluous voice filled the shuttle's interior. The Evora shipyard is located in close orbit of a dying red giant star. It's protected by a network of defense satellites and a small flotilla of frigates. But there's a vulnerability. A freight hangar on the station's underbelly has weaker shielding to allow for the offloading of stellar matter. That's your infiltration point. Johnny nodded grimly. "And how do we get the core into the star?" "There's a mass driver on the upper hull used for demolishing asteroids. I've plotted you a route. Magnetize the core to the driver's payload platform, and it'll accelerate it to a fraction of light speed straight into the star's core." Ryo spoke up, his voice soft but steely. "What kind of timeline are we looking at for the supernova once the core detonates?" Athena paused a microsecond before replying, as if reluctant to voice the truth. "The antimatter reaction will trigger a quantum collapse almost instantaneously. You'll need to extract immediately once the core is magnetized. I estimate you'll have 90 seconds to clear the blast radius." Mac let out a low whistle. "Jesus, cut the margins a little close there, don't you think?" Johnny cut him off. "It's the only way. Even if we had a day, it wouldn't be enough to wipe out a station that big. This is our one shot to deal a hammer blow to the Evora's military production." He met the eyes of each of his soldiers in turn. "I won't lie to you. There's a good chance some of us might not come back from this. But remember what we're fighting for. The Evora slaughtered our entire race. We're the last of humanity, and we're all that stands between those alien bastards and total galactic domination. Today we show them what it means to pick a fight with the human race. Today we make them pay. For Earth." The crew roared in unison. "For Earth!" Stars shifted into blurring streaks of light as the shuttle hurtled toward the looming shape of the Evora shipyard, the pulsating ember of the dying star silhouetting it in a hellish red glow. There was no more need for words. Each human warrior steeled themselves for the coming storm, an icy calm settling over them. One way or another, the Evora would face a reckoning today, even if it took the last of humanity's lifeblood to see it through. The endgame had begun. The stolen Evora shuttle sliced through space, its hull still smoking from the fierce firefight at the moon base. Inside, Johnny Evans and his team caught their breath, their faces grim but determined. "Athena, status report," Johnny barked, checking his gear. The AI's voice filled the cabin. "New orders, Captain. Our next target is the Evora shipyard orbiting Proxima Centauri b. It's their primary warship production facility." Tara whistled low. "That's a death trap. The radiation alone from that dying star." "Which is exactly why we're going to use it against them," Johnny cut in. He laid out Athena's plan, detailing how they'd use the stolen antimatter core to trigger an artificial supernova. Ryo's eyes gleamed. "I can bypass their security. Get us inside." "Good," Johnny nodded. "Mac, you're on demolitions. Plant charges as backup. Tara, you'll run Overwatch and jam their comms. I'll lead the strike team to deliver the payload." As they approached the shipyard, the bloated red star loomed ominously. Ryo's fingers flew over his console, injecting a virus into the station's network. Suddenly, the shipyard's defense turrets spun wildly, opening fire on their own supply ships. "Now!" Johnny shouted. They rocketed through the chaos, docking amidst the confusion. The team rushed out, sealing themselves into radiation suits. The corridor before them crawled with panicked Evora. Mac grinned, hefting his pack of explosives. Time to add to the fun. Shaped charges detonated throughout the station, cutting off Evora reinforcements. Alarms blared as Johnny's strike team fought their way towards the reactor core. Ryo's hacking opened sealed bulkheads, while Terra's electronic warfare left the defenders in disarray. They burst into the reactor chamber to find it swarming with Evora troops. Hulking behemoths stomped forward, their armor shrugging off conventional fire. "Push through!" Johnny roared, his Gauss rifle spitting hypersonic slugs. The humans surged forward, but the aliens' numbers seemed endless. Just as defeat loomed, Rio's voice crackled over the comm. "Reactor containment compromised. We've got minutes." With renewed desperation, Johnny's team redoubled their assault. A path finally cleared to the reactor core. Johnny sprinted forward, antimatter canister in hand. He hurled it into the roiling energy mass. "Fall back!" he bellowed. As they turned to flee, a colossal behemoth blocked their path. Johnny stepped forward, motioning his team to run. "Go, I'll hold it off." He traded blows with the monstrous alien, his augmented body pushed to the limit. A lucky shot pierced the behemoth's faceplate, but not before its energy blade sliced deep into Johnny's side. Max saw his captain fall and raced back, hefting Johnny's limp form over his shoulder. Rio provided covering fire as they sprinted for the shuttle. The station shook violently around them as the reactor went critical. They blasted free of the doomed shipyard just as the antimatter ignited. A newborn star flared to life behind them, incinerating the station and thousands of partially built Evora warships. In the shuttle's medbay, Terra worked frantically to save Johnny's life, but the wounds were too severe. With fading breath, he gripped Mac's arm. "Finish this," Johnny gasped. "Make them pay. For Earth." His eyes closed for the last time as the shuttle streaked into the void. Mac's fists clenched, rage and grief warring within him. He turned to face his battered team, new purpose hardening his features. "You heard the captain," Mac growled. "We've got a war to win." Mac stared at the empty captain's chair, his heart made tight. Johnny's absence left a void that threatened to swallow them whole. But there was no time for mourning. Not yet. "Athena, what's our status?" he barked, forcing himself to focus on the mission. The AI's voice filled the bridge. "The antimatter supernova has crippled Evora's shipyards. We have a narrow window before they can regroup." Tara's fingers danced across her console. "I'm picking up massive chatter. They're pissed." "Good," Rio growled. "Let them come." Max shook his head. "We can't take on their whole fleet. We need to cut the head off the snake." "Kolgar Station," Athena interjected. "It's their command hub. If we can take it out..." "We might just win this war," Mac finished. "But how do we get past their defenses?" Athena's hologram flickered to life, displaying a convoy of Evora ships. "I have a plan. It's risky, but it's our best shot." Hours later, the human stealth ship clung to the hull of a massive Evora cargo hauler, its systems running silent. Mac's hands tightened on the controls as they approached Kolgar's defensive perimeter. "Easy," Terra whispered. "Almost there." They slipped past rings of automated turrets and swarming patrols. Mac felt sweat beading on his forehead as they glided into the central docking bay. Suddenly, alarms blared. A cold voice filled the comms. "Unidentified vessel detected. Lockdown initiated." "Shit," Rio spat. "They made us." Mac's mind raced. There was no backing out now. "Rio, kill that force field. Tara, launch the drones." The docking bay erupted in chaos. Explosions rocked the station as armor-piercing warheads found their marks. Mac led the charge, his pulse rifle spitting death as they carved a path through panicked Evora. "Rio, get that virus uploaded," he shouted over the din of battle. "Tara, with me. We're taking the command center." They fought their way through twisting corridors, the station's own defenses turning against their masters. A hulking behemoth guard loomed before them, energy blade humming. Mac didn't hesitate. He charged, dodging the alien strike and emptying his clip point blank into its faceplate. The behemoth toppled with an earth-shaking crash. Move, he roared, leading his team onward. Alarms wailed as they neared the reactor core. Ryo's voice crackled over the comms. Virus uploaded. This place is gonna blow. Mac's blood ran cold. They were out of time. Fall back, he ordered. Everyone to the extraction point. They battled their way back through collapsing corridors, Mac detonating micro-nukes to clear a path. Terra's hacking turned the station's internal defenses against the Evora, buying them precious seconds. With a final sprint, they reached their shuttle. As they blasted free of the dying station, a ghostly image flickered before them, Supreme Commander Sagan, his eyes burning with hate. This isn't over, human vermin, the Evora leader snarled. I will hunt you to the ends of the universe. Mac met the alien's gaze unflinching. Bring it on, you genocidal bastard. We're just getting started. The shuttle rocketed into the void, leaving Kolgar Station to its doom. Mac turned to his battered team, seeing the same iron will in their eyes that he felt in his soul. Set course for deep space, he ordered. We've bloodied their nose, but the real fight is just beginning. As stars streaked past the view screen, Mac allowed himself a small, fierce smile. The Evora thought they'd wiped out humanity. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The stealth ship's engines hummed softly as it drifted through the inky void. Inside the cramped bridge, Terra slumped in her chair, her eyes fixed on the star field beyond the viewport. Rio paced restlessly, his footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. Athena, run diagnostics, Terra said, her voice barely above a whisper. Check for any residual energy signatures. The AI's voice filled the cabin. Scanning complete. No trace of the dreadnought Nihil detected. All readings consistent with standard nebula composition. Rio smacked his palm against a bulkhead. How is that possible? A ship that size? Mac, the others? They can't just be gone. Terra turned to face him, her eyes rimmed with red. You saw what happened. That distortion. It wasn't just destruction. It was erasure. The reality of their situation settled over them like a suffocating blanket. Terra's fingers danced across her console, bringing up star charts and navigational data. We need to decide our next move, she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. We can't stay here. Rio nodded grimly. Agreed, but where do we go? What's left for us out there? Athena's holographic form flickered to life between them. I've plotted several potential vectors, prioritizing uncharted regions and systems with minimal Evora presence. The AI's calm efficiency was a stark contrast to the raw emotions coursing through the two humans. Terra studied the proposed routes, her brow furrowed in concentration. This one, she said, pointing to a winding path that led deep into unexplored space. It gives us the best chance of avoiding any remaining Evora patrols. Rio leaned in, his eyes scanning the data. It's risky. We'd be completely on our own out there. We already are, Tara replied softly. A heavy silence fell between them, the weight of their responsibility, to carry on, to somehow preserve what was left of humanity, pressed down on their shoulders. Rio straightened, squaring his jaw. Then we do this. For Mac, for Johnny, for everyone we've lost. We find a way to start over. Terra nodded, a flicker of purpose replacing the despair in her eyes. Athena, set course for the outer rim. We'll need to conserve power, run silent as much as possible. Understood, the AI responded, initiating stealth protocols and plotting optimal power usage for extended deep space travel. The ship's engines thrummed to life, propelling them towards the unknown. As familiar star patterns faded behind them, Rio and Terra exchanged a look of grim purpose. They were the last embers of humanity, venturing into the cosmic night with nothing but each other and the faint hope of a new beginning. The vast, uncaring universe stretched out before them, full of both peril and possibility. Their journey had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.